Welcome to the messy middle of entrepreneurship, unfiltered and unapologetic. Uncensored Entrepreneurs, hosted by Starr, Robert Wall, and Tina Torres-Wilson, brings you real stories from the trenches of building a business. Those late nights, hard lessons, big wins, and everything in between. This is where the truth about entrepreneurship lives. No fluff, no filters, just raw, honest conversations with founders who have lived it. So, if you're over the highlight reel and you're ready for the real deal, hit play. Today, we're bringing you an inspiring conversation with Tammie Neel. Tammie is a powerhouse entrepreneur who has built a thriving IT company from the ground up. She's sold it 24 years later with success and is now on a mission to empower women in their 40s and 50s to embrace new beginnings with confidence and clarity. Her story is one of resilience, reinvention, and stepping boldly into the next chapter. And she's here to help you do the same exact thing. So if you're interested in reinventing yourself at any stage of life or overcoming fear and stepping into new opportunities, this is an episode you won't want to miss. I'm so happy to have Tammie Neel here, and I'm really, really interested in hearing more about her story.
Welcome, Tammie. I'm so excited that you're here. Okay, so Tammie, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get to want to write a book and to want to help these women over 40 just reinvent themselves?
Never, ever did I think I was going to write a book, but that was never something on my list. But 4 years ago, some big major things happened that I had to find a way to tell the story. So in short, it was January 1 of 2021. COVID was full, rampant, and I had been sick for 3 days. My husband was going to work, coming home, checking on me. I wasn't moving. I wasn't eating. I couldn't keep food down. I wasn't drinking. We already knew it wasn't COVID. It got to the point where he was afraid I was going to dehydrate. So in the wee hours on the 1st, he drops me off at the ER doors. He wasn't allowed to go in. I don't remember a lot about it, but I must have told them enough, because the next thing I remember, they were telling me that I had a major brain bleed and I was going to be sent to another hospital. So he follows behind, and it turned out I needed brain surgery. I had what's called an AVM on my brain that had started bleeding. They don't know why at that time. And it was very serious. So 2 weeks later, while they were putting me on medications to try to get the blood to reabsorb, I had brain surgery. Then I spent that whole year recovering, mostly fatigue, but the doctors were even shocked that I made it through the surgery.
Because you had a lot of memory issues and you had to relearn a lot of things.
Memory and focus and fatigue are the things that I am still affected by, but I'm still here. But then a part of the story is exactly 1 year later, January 1 of 22, everything was in reverse. Instead of my husband taking me to the hospital, I was taking him.
Oh, goodness.
We had COVID, but he was not getting better. So on January 1, I took him, dropped him off at the ER. He was admitted, had 45 days in the hospital. He went on a vent. And he was on that for 2 weeks. And at that time, most people weren't coming off. So we just had so many parallels to our story. He survived something that most people didn't. I survived something that most people didn't. And then we just kept talking to people, and they were amazed that we were still here. So with my faith, I felt like the story needed to be told. And that's what Tina helped me with my book.
You're both here. That is an incredible journey that you guys went through, survival. I'm so happy to hear that you guys survived that. So Tammie, did you ever find out what caused that? Because you were saying at the time they didn't know. Was there anything leading up to you getting sick?
No, nothing. They said it's very possible that the ABM could have been there my entire life. They don't know why something would have caused it to start bleeding. Most people have a stroke
Yes.
when you have something like that.
And they were high school sweethearts as well. And through her book, Resilience Rising, people as they're going through their challenges to be able to journey through and journal through all the things, all the feelings. And she was able to do that. Having God in her life really, really helped her out. So Tammy, tell us a little bit about piece of that.
It changed me. I don't even know how to put words to it, but when you go through something so big, you just don't come out the other side the same person. There was a point in the book where I put those divine moments.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one particular point I made in the book. I remember myself standing next to David's hospital bed. And it was almost like I had this out of body experience. I was looking at myself and him, thinking, who is this woman? I have never been somebody who I would define strong. But through it all, I had unbelievable strength physically and emotionally. Because keep in mind, I was still recovering. I couldn't get through a day without a couple naps. And now here I was trying to go to the hospital, spend the entire day there every day and be with him. It was just unbelievable for myself that I was able to get through it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. We hear such similar stories in regards to when you have this divine purpose, right? You end up having this strength and, as you stated, the resilience, right? Your book of things that just come into your life where it's, I have to do this. I have to take care of this person. This person depends on me. What a beautiful story. And as Starr said earlier, I am so glad that you were able to defy the odds, because many people don't have an opportunity to share that story, right? When they encounter something like this. That in itself is good enough, right? So when you think of this, so this is 2022, you're taking care of your husband and working through those. You knew that there was a story inside you. Tina knew there was a story. You were able to share that. The book's coming soon. Tell us more about the result of this trauma that happened in your life, where now you're wanting to go out there and really share not just what's happened, but try to help other people overcome the odds as well.
Well, we sold our business, but we're still 100% working in it. But I know that there will be a day where we're going to want to walk away. We're going to want to retire. So over the past year, I've been trying to figure out, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've been trying to figure out what is that next thing that I can do. So that's where a lot of things just came together. The book and my passion for helping others with health and wellness. Things I struggled with in the past were mindset. And now, funny story, I've always been fascinated by the brain.
You have a real hands-on story to share.
I experienced the brain more than I ever thought I would. For example, it takes up 20% of your energy. So when I was recovering, when people would come over and visit, just the energy that it would take for me to process and keep up the conversation would exhaust me. Or once I was able to drive, you don't realize how much your brain is active when you're driving. I would go to the store and have to get back because I had to go to bed. It just would exhaust me so much. So I've learned so much about the brain through this as well.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that never stops working, even when you're sleeping, right? And what an interesting parallel, just something that from the outside looking in, Tammie, you're in the IT industry, right? And the fact that your brain is the primary computer, obviously, to everything in regards to your life and functionality. And then that you went through this, and I never really thought about it when you were first saying that. Most of us teach a great deal. We coach a great deal on mindset, a great first place to start with anything in life and in business. And so the fact that you were battling for a healthy brain and let alone life. So that is fantastic. And I think that your journey more and more into that can bring a great deal of insight. I'm really interested in more about health and what I should be doing regularly and exercises and maybe even early signs of some of the things that you encountered, right? Because I know that for many of us, I'm raising my hand over here, I have a history with my family of high blood pressure and heart problems and things. And so I'm always trying to be really conscious and aware of that stress level that happens typically in life in general, but as an entrepreneur as well.
I think after 40 or 50, you start getting to that point where like, oh man,
This is serious now.
I just walked up the stairs and I hurt my hip. Or definitely getting old if I can't even do this without hurting.
We always take it for granted.
You do.
You're like drinking and doing all the things and can sleep on 2 hours of sleep. And I remember going to the club and being able to come home at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and going, okay, as long as I have an hour or two before I have to go to work, I'll be good. Now I'm like, as long as I have a week or two to recover, I'll be good.
Absolutely.
And I remember being young and just eating whatever I wanted because I was so tiny, young adult, and I didn't have to worry about eating healthy or anything like that. And I probably wasn't taught correctly either. But now it's, oh my God, it's so hard to change that you've lived your lifestyle for so many years.
One of the things I love about her is in her social media, like once a week, she'll push out a bunch of healthy, good recipes for women over 40 or even men over 42, but healthy recipes and just a lot of good content and valuable information that we as women need to start appreciating and start taking action on, like journaling and, like she mentioned before, mindset. So Tammie, in your workbook / journal, what can they get out of that? So if we bought that today, what can we expect to get out of this book?
At first, when I knew I wanted to do this, I wasn't sure how to approach it. But what I ended up doing was taking the major emotions that I dealt with in my situation, and I broke it down into 7 weeks. Each week is a theme. So overcoming, growth, healing, faith, those are all parts of a theme each week. And then I weave in how my story was a part of that theme. And then there's a series of questions where it takes you, the reflection, into my story. So here's how I was affected. How have you seen growth? How have you had faith? How have you overcome circumstances? So it helped guide you through a storm that you're going through.
And we've all been through something so traumatic on the show. And if you haven't, at some point you're going to. So I like
Exactly.
this because I've been at a point where it's like, how am I going to come out of this? How am I going to override? It almost feels like there's no hope, right?
Exactly.
So true. And I love the fact that it is not just a book, it's like a journaling experience of overcoming these obstacles in life, these barriers that typically hold us back. One word that really stands out when I was reading your introduction was overcoming fear and stepping into new opportunities. I obviously think that mindset and fear are definitely connected. Tell us a little bit about just that in your even current journey of overcoming fear. There's the physical aspect of what you went through. I would imagine very traumatic. In most cases, you're always wondering, will that ever happen again? But even more so, you're putting more out to the world, right? Like now you're serving, you're doing with a purpose. And I think something that you had mentioned earlier that made me think of this, overcoming fear, you're doing some things now that potentially were uncomfortable for you 3 or 4 years ago, right? So tell us a little bit about that journey of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Well, for one, anybody who's had a business, it's not easy. So you learn a lot through that. I've struggled with fear of finances. What if we can't pay our bills? What if? And when I went through this, it forced me to depend on my faith. There's another story I have in the book where there was a tall set of stairs that I would go up every single day when I got to the hospital to visit David. And 24 steps every day, I was going up those steps. And it just became a symbol to me how every one of those steps was like a journey from my life. Every step was a trial that made me stronger because I didn't know what was going to happen when I got to the top. I didn't know what situation David was in each morning when I would get into the ICU. It just helped me, what I call connect the dots. If you connect the dots of your past, the things that you've done, the things that you've overcome, it helps you prepare for the future.
That is so true. They say that everyone's always looking for the magic formula of how to become successful, to pursue things and overcome things in life. And as you just stated, if you look to the past, that's the blueprint. The
Yes.
blueprint is already there. The foundation is already laid. Whether you do or do not have faith, right? That's part of that blueprint of that journey. I love that analogy that you gave, by the way. And I would imagine that Heart and Mind had a lot of conversations where you're thinking the worst many times, but your faith is also expecting the best as well. So, wow, that's powerful. So speaking of today, right? So you're still a consultant with the IT company that you've sold, and you're positioning yourself for being able to launch the journal, the book, to be able to coach and help others overcome some of these things in life. I absolutely love that. What are some other next steps? Is there anything else in the works that's hiding out there?
My long-term goal is that my husband would join me in this because of the parallels of how we both felt both sides of the situation. For example, he could talk to me, but he couldn't see me. I could see him, but I couldn't talk to him. And if you think about when you get married, like Tina, you say those vows in sickness and health.
Hope it never happens, right?
In the future, I would like to have some type of program for couples.
That would be amazing.
On how to get through those kind of tough times, because it is very tough having that sickness and health and seeing the person that you love, the person that you are supposed to protect, or he's supposed to protect you, sitting there, laying there, helpless. But all the things going through your head, it is hard.
It's so interesting that we speak a lot about trauma and the trials of life, unresolved pain. And so when you think of these things, all of us, every single person that's listening to this, we all are facing something, some type of giant that we're facing in life that we're trying to conquer. But when you're faced with a life or death situation, based on the situation that you and your husband have been in, there's something so transformational about that that puts all other things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yes.
Many people know my story, some don't, but I lost a daughter after 2.5 years, and there was a lot of things that led up to that. But the reason why I share this is prior to that, I was the kind of guy that if I had a flat tire, right, I was maybe a little high strung. When those things happen in life, it puts so much in perspective, and they mean very little now. Like almost to the fact that when little things happen to me, I just laugh them off because every single moment is precious. And so I really can empathize with you. And also, I'm here like being your champion, saying, I'm encouraging you to continue to take every moment that you have and transforming the lives of others going forward. And so I love that you're doing that, Tammie. There's so many people that have a story inside them and they're just sitting there. And what are some things that you would share to those people that are sitting there that have gone through something that really just are afraid to speak into their voice and their purpose?
I would say to adapt and recover. We're all going through different seasons and it's never permanent. It feels like it at the time. It's like time stands still almost. Just keep taking that next step and connecting the dots of where you've been. Like you said, everybody's got a story. We've all been through different things and we're still here. We're still conquering what we've done.
What I love about Resilience Rising is for 7 weeks, every day, you're going to write something out. And every day there's a gratitude piece in there, just so you can bring that little bit of gratitude. So whatever you're going through, if you're going through something like this and you're taking this workbook into the hospital with you, there are those little things that you can be grateful for. The heartbeat came up, the blood pressure went down, whatever it is that you can be grateful for. It's those little small things like Tammie and her husband, both time after time going into that hospital.
Like celebrating the things that you're overcoming daily versus necessarily the big picture, right? And just celebrating those little victories along the way. I personally can't wait. I know that your target audience is obviously in alignment with your story for women. I can tell you for a fact that there's going to be a ripple effect when you're doing good work and you're serving any type of a target market. There's a ripple effect, and people like myself will absolutely be gravitated to that. So I'm looking forward to the journal coming out as well and sharing that obviously with the amazing women in my life.
And there's also a lot of healing. There's neuroscience proof that when you're writing, there's a connection between your hand and the brain. So it is very healing and calming to write. And so that's a big part of the book is you actually going through the process of writing out your thoughts.
Wow. I love that. I just read something not too long ago about Alzheimer's being decreased by those who actually journal on a regular basis. And I think that's fascinating. I'm not saying it works for everyone, but that is amazing to think, like you said, that connection between the physical and the mental, right? That's amazing. And so what we'll do is we'll make sure for those that are watching, it's called Resilience Rising, and it is available all across Amazon.
Yep.
So I'm very excited about that.
If you have a woman in your life and she's over 40, even if you're not going through a hard time in your life, believe me, she's going through something. She's going through it because these changes as you get older as a woman, even as a man, you're going through changes, stuff like that too. But it is very difficult and it's very calming and reassuring to know that other women are going through the same things, that you're not crazy.
Any other final thoughts about your book or the journey or anything else that you're just giving out to the world?
I am just thrilled to be able to put my story out there and help other people. It's just become my passion. I just really want to help other women. I've got friends that I'm helping and I didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? It's just become a part of me. It's just a new me.
I love watching you. Look, you're already helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's purpose in our pain, right? Like many of us, it's hard to fathom when we're in the storm, as you said earlier, Tammie, but there's always purpose in our pain because when we've conquered all odds, there's others that are just waiting to be told that they can do the same exact thing, right? I appreciate you so much, Starr. Tina, any other closing remarks for Tammie?
I really just wanted to ask one last question. I know we're wrapping up, but Tammie, I know that your business probably might have been on hold, or maybe you have team members during that time that you and your husband were recovering, because many entrepreneurs have been faced with similar situations. How did you guys return to business or keep that business afloat or get back to doing what you were doing after you recovered?
Well, at the same time that I got sick, we were in the negotiation of selling. So it was supposed to take effect January of 2021. But then when I got sick, my husband hit pause. We didn't actually sign the paperwork until March. But everything was still in practice. Like all of our staff, they knew what to do. It was a God thing. It worked.
Absolutely. There's a story even within that. And unfortunately, we don't have time to journey down all that. We'll have you on again because, like Starr said, I would love to find out more about that journey. I know that just the opportunity of being an entrepreneur and having something, having an asset like your business really was a blessing, regardless of anything that you've gone through in life, because it allowed you some other freedoms and opportunities that many people don't have, right? Like many people, when they get sick, unfortunately, that portion of the story stops there, right? Their income doesn't flow. They don't have a lot of things, resources or other things happening. And so I think having that is so key as well in the message.
You always want to have a plan in place so that if you're not available, it can still function.
It's one of the best things about being an entrepreneur. Some things, like I had a couple of coaching calls today. You have clients that give you grace for that, just like you give them grace. Being an entrepreneur, you have that opportunity and that mindset to be able to do that. So
I would say that one great thing about this message is not only are you helping people overcoming obstacles that they currently have in life, but preparing for things that are even unseen yet, right? Just being able to have the ability to financially be grounded, spiritually more than anything, to be able to find and ground your faith and attach it to something that will push you through all storms. So I appreciate you so much, Tammie. Follow, like, and share us across Facebook and all across social media at the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you're getting value from the show, take a minute to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you tune in. It helps more bold entrepreneurs find us. Until next time, keep showing up, uncensored and unapologetic. And we'll catch you on the next episode.